Hi, I'm Mark, and on this channel I talk about UK politics and Brexit from an outside view, although I do know the UK from the inside as well, so don't worry. The British are facing tough austerity measures once again. Finance Minister or Chancellor of the Exchequer Reeves accuses the previous government of throwing money out of the window and covering it up, and Labour in turn the Tories in turn warn that Labour is pursuing a completely different goal. Well, black holes are not actually black, you know that, but they are invisible. And perhaps Rachel Reeves, the new finance minister of the British Kingdom, chose this image to describe the state of the British finances. Because when she researched or looked through the budget books of the previous Conservative government, she discovered that much more money was missing than originally assumed. A total of £22 billion, that's about 26 billion euros. The Tories have made one uncovered commitment after another. That is what she reported in the British House of Commons. We talked about this week already. They promised hospitals, roads and public transport, even though there was no money for them. Because the Tories knew that someone else would have to clean up after them. And it's even worse, according to Reeves. The Conservatives kept quiet about their overspending or even covered it up. A black hole, indeed. In Reeves' view, Britain has to think twice about every penny right now. Because Labour had committed to maintaining the Conservatives' old medium-term budget planning. And that doesn't allow for much leeway. At the same time, the need for spending is huge. For example, in the health service, which has been cut to pieces, or in dilapidated infrastructure as well. And public sector salaries are also stagnating. And there are lots of more construction sites there. And Labour was also elected to finally tackle precisely these problems. Heating cost subsidies only for those in need are another topic. But instead of spending money now, Reeves announces that she wants to save first. And over the next 2 years, that will initially be around 16 billion euros or 11 or 12 billion pounds. And the ministries should also look at where they put money aside, for example, by spending less on marketing and consultants. But some of Reeves' measures affect citizens directly. The government only wants to pay the mentioned heating cost subsidies in winter to needy pensioners instead of to everyone, as it was before. And compulsory math lessons for all school children up to the age of 18 will be abolished, as will several major road construction projects. And the construction of new hospitals will be examined again. But it's not entirely true that Labour is introducing a new austerity policy, as its Conservative predecessors have done in recent years. I just say Cameron. Reeves announced wage increases for the public sector, and decent ones at that. Teachers, nurses, doctors and soldiers are to receive between 5.5 and 6% more pay. And the dispute with junior doctors over salary increases, which had led to many strikes, has also been buried. And Reeves' predecessor Jeremy Hunt warned in the British House of Commons that Labour was only using the deficit as an excuse to raise taxes later for other major projects. If Reeves presents her full budget at the end of October, it will be a historic fraud, said Hunt. Working families will never forgive Reeves again. But that is exactly what Reeves emphasized that she will not do. Labour would not touch income tax, VAT and social security. And British economists agree with Reeves. It was of course clear that the figures had to be bad, said Jonathan Portes. He's an economist at King's College London. But he did not expect how little the Conservatives had actually made in provisions. Even the financial experts did not believe the Conservative government was capable of spending 6 billion more on the controversial Rwanda plan alone. And after Reeves' speech, Portes spoke of a shock. He describes the minister's austerity measures as sensible because they cause relatively little pain and do little damage to economic growth. And polls suggest Labour is on course to keep their results from the election now with the satisfaction of the people. But Reeves sticks to secure securonomics. That's a portmanteau of the English term secure and economics, and that's a term that is used repeatedly by British newspapers to explain Reeves' approach. It describes the belief that the state must actively intervene in the free market to solve urgent problems, and that the economy must grow also with the help of the private sector so that prosperity can be improved. And Reeves seems to be sticking to this principle for the time being, despite the announced austerity measures. With the National Prosperity Fund, for example, which is also intended to attract private investment across the country, the nationalization of the railways, or the increase in public sector salaries. Reeves is probably not, secure enough to simply take out more loans in order to ignore the fiscal leeway that was set there. However, economists also predict that difficult decisions about spending and taxes will still be made. But October 30th, when Rachel Reeves announces her budget, is therefore still eagerly awaited. But Brexit still has far-reaching effects on the financial situation of the British in everyday life as well, and they are diverse and complex, and their effects cannot yet be fully foreseen because there are still some transitional periods. But inflation in the UK has risen since Brexit, which is causing the purchasing power of the British to fall. And this particularly affects the prices of food, energy, and other essential everyday goods. Growth in wages has not been able to fully offset rising inflation, leaving many Britons with less money to spend. And the pound sterling has fallen in value since Brexit, leading to higher import costs and thus further fueling inflation. The economic uncertainty following Brexit was making it harder for companies to invest and create jobs. And this led to lower economic growth in the long term, thus limiting Britain's income opportunities. The disruptions to supply chains caused by Brexit have also led to shortages of certain products and with that pushed up prices. And the UK housing market has become volatile and prices have risen in some regions, making it more difficult for many people to buy their own home. And the future of state pensions is uncertain as the UK economy has been weakened by Brexit. But who is particularly affected? Low earners are particularly hard hit by rising inflation as they spend a larger proportion of their income on just essential goods. And pensioners often depend on fixed incomes and have limited ability to offset rising prices. And many businesses, especially small and medium-sized enterprises, are struggling with the consequences of Brexit and are being forced to cut costs or reduce jobs. It's important to note here that the impact of Brexit varies greatly and depends on a number of factors. The impact is felt to varying degrees in different regions of the UK, and the impact on employment and incomes varies from industry to industry. Younger and older people are affected differently by the consequences of Brexit as well. But Brexit has significantly worsened the financial situation of Britons in their everyday lives. The rising inflation, currency fluctuation, and economic uncertainty have meant that many people have less money to spend. And the long-term consequences of Brexit are not yet clear. But it is clear that leaving the EU brought significant challenges to the UK economy and society. And as I said in the video for once, but I cannot emphasize that often enough, Brexit has not completely happened yet. There are still transitional periods running in some cases, also in a very important part of the financial markets, which are a big producer of income for the UK. And next year, we will see a massive impact there. But if you want to see another video right now, the next video is right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.